All right. Hello there, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Masmorra.
And I'm TheViper.
And this is episode 4 of the Town Center, your monthly podcast dedicated to all things Age of Empires. Today, live from the Gamer Legion offices. We've been sort of kicked out of the gaming house by the CSGO team. A team that, to be fair, has recently had some major successes. Probably one of the most incredible runs in the history of Counter-Strike. From almost complete unknowns, no offense, to finalists of the last CSGO major in Paris. I watched almost every game of it, and I think you followed it too on your stream, didn't you?
Yeah, not on my stream, but like me and all the GL boys from Age of Empires as well. We were sitting in our Discord and like being hyped about it and having fun watching it. So it was a really cool thing to follow. And obviously they made it to the final of the last major of CSGO, because I think now they're moving to CSGO 2,
yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, amazing performance and huge for GL as a whole.
Do you actually follow CSGO a little bit?
I don't follow CSGO, but I see like when the CSGO team of GL play the big events, I will watch a little bit, but I don't, otherwise from that, I don't really watch CSGO or any other esport.
I watch it all the time, so for me to work with a team that makes it to the final of a major, kind of incredible. I might still go there afterwards to the gaming house after an autograph or something. But guess what, Viper? We have an amazing show today. We're going to be interviewing Mr. Yo, also known as Mr. 7-0. How did he get that nickname again? I kind of forgot.
Was that not unnecessary here?
Right. So we're going to learn a bit more about Yo's life as a streamer and a professional Age of Empires 2 player. We're going to learn more about the Chinese community writ large and how things work over there. But that'll be part 2 of this episode. Before that, we're going to follow up on a discussion we had last episode with Hera regarding the decrease in viewership in the Age of Empires 2 category on Twitch. We're going to talk about Kick, the new streaming platform that has been making headlines with $1 million acquisitions of popular streamers. And I do mean $1 million, by the way.
Many millions.
Many millions. We're going to bring you up to speed on the tournament scene, and we'll also discuss the advantages and disadvantages of having streamers be the actual tournament organizers in our game. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time now, so I'd be curious to hear your take on that. And last but not least, are skins and battle passes going to make their way into Age of Empires 2? There are some signs that might be the case, so it's time to have a discussion about it. Okay, so last episode, we talked about the fact that viewership on Twitch in the Age of Empires 2 category is down from last year. It's not a very steep decrease, we talked about this, but if you couple that with the fact that at the same time the viewership was decreasing, the number of people playing the game was increasing, I think you do have to start asking some questions. So you and Hera sort of had the take that the increase in the player base was mainly fueled by the Xbox players joining the community, and those folks are probably not the kind of people you would expect to tune into a Twitch stream, right?
Not immediately, anyway.
Which I think makes sense. But someone in the comments section said something I hadn't even considered, actually. He said Twitch as a platform is declining. And that might also play a role. I did check the numbers, of course, and sure enough, since April 2021, viewership on Twitch has been declining. So initially, that decrease was surely pandemic-fueled, right? But today, in 2023, I don't think you can really point to the pandemic anymore, right? Now, as someone who only consumes Twitch myself and doesn't actually produce any content for Twitch, I gotta say I personally don't really feel like the viewing experience is any worse now on Twitch than it was in the past, but I do hear a lot of complaints from the content creator community, so the streamers themselves. And I guess the complaints are stuff like, I don't know, the 50-50 revenue share, which is probably one of the worst ones on the market, right? Then you have the regional sub-pricing, you kind of mentioned it to me at some point. Yeah. And there's a lot of ads. Apparently, I don't really notice. Yeah. I guess I'm sub to the streamers.
Exactly. You're probably subscribed to the ones you watch. Yeah.
So I do wonder, how do you as a streamer who's not affiliated with Twitch, how do you view the platform right now in 2023? Or what are they doing wrong and what are they doing right still?
Well, I mean, I used to be affiliated with them, right? Yes. That's where I had my start. Back then, the platform was very nice to stream on. Since then, obviously, I mean, I've been on Facebook now for the last year and a half. I would say that the changes Twitch has made since I moved to Facebook, I'm not regretting my decision. Let's put it like that. It's not a good. I would say it's not a good place to be right now if you're trying to make a living out of streaming. Unless you're like a really big streamer in particular, then it's hard to get by, because a 50-50 split, first of all, you're like, the viewer experience is horrible. It's hard for...
What do you think is horrible about it? especially for someone who streams on Facebook.
Yeah, not only viewer experience in terms of like the viewers that are not subscribed, they will have ads nonstop, because Twitch is really now pushing the whole ad incentive. Like they want you to play ads all the time. They push it in a way that, you're going to get more money by playing more ads, which you obviously do. But again, it has a huge negative impact on the viewers watching, because not everyone is going to be subscribed to your channel. So they will have those ads. And if you, especially during a big tournament, right, where it's like in the middle of a hype scene, the microfight is about to start, 1 out of 6 ads, and you have to sit there, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 6, 4. It's like
6. I think it's very country dependent too, right? How many ads you actually get. Because I don't think I've ever gotten 6 ads in a row, or I just click away whenever it happens.
It should be the setting what the streamer has put it on / what the streamer, if the streamer is playing it themselves, or if they have the automatic feature based on their monthly target, let's say. So yeah, it can be a lot. I don't know if it's country dependent. It could be like that you get some I mean, you do get ads differently depending on where you're from and live, so that makes sense. But also, like, imagine discoverability, right? Whenever you open a stream that you're not subscribed to, you're hit with an ad. How many people want to jump from stream to stream to see if they enjoy watching a stream if the first thing they're being hit with is like, 1 out of 3 ads? You don't want to stick around to see if you enjoy this content.
Wasn't it always like that, though? Is it new?
I don't think that has always been like. The pre-roll ads came in recent years.
Okay. So that would be pretty bad, obviously.
It's horrible for discoverability, for sure, because people won't sit and jump from channel to channel, But then again, I mean, Twitch has done so many, like, it's still an amazing platform, arguably still it is the biggest platform by far when it comes to streaming, and most people are in their comfort zone over there, right? But at this point, I feel like you have to either have Twitch Turbo or be subscribed to the channel you're watching to actually enjoy watching the channel.
Okay. Hypothetically speaking, let's imagine your contract with Facebook runs out sometime, I don't know, later this year, maybe, no clue. Let's say you want to switch platforms. Would you say Twitch would still be your most likely destination? Or is that still pretty much in the air?
First of all, I'm still committed to Facebook, obviously, until that ends. And who knows if that's going to continue or not, whenever it will end. Only thing I can say is that once my contract ends, I will then evaluate the situation. Then it's obviously the normal or the standard streaming platforms are options, which would be Twitch, would be YouTube, maybe Kick, but I don't know about that.
We shall be talking about that, yeah. A few weeks ago, I was listening to an interview Nilly gave our colleagues over at the Start the Game Already podcast. That's a German podcast I can definitely recommend to those that are interested. And at some point in the interview, he says that in his opinion, UNT90 leaving Twitch was probably one of the worst things that has ever happened to the game in the last few years. And he was not criticizing the move, by the way. He was just stating it as a matter of fact. And I think it's easy to see why he would say that. I mean, you guys were both by far the biggest streamers, both you and T90. And before you left Twitch in 2021, it did feel like we had some huge momentum going for us. There was Hiccup 4 hitting unimaginable numbers. There were 3 Red Bull tournaments, one of them LAN in a castle. Now, I do remember that early on when you guys moved to Facebook, there was still some hope that you would sort of tap into a whole new audience of people that have never watched Age of Empires 2 before. But now, after 2 years, and again, I'm going to be paraphrasing Nilly here, I don't think I've ever heard anybody on Twitch or YouTube say, hey, I came from Facebook or something like that. And again, I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything about this. I'm your friend, and I've told you this before. As a self-employed guy myself, I understand and respect your decision 100%. But would you agree with Nilly, now that it's almost 2 years, that this is one of the worst things that has ever happened to the game?
It's really hard to it's hard for me to separate, right? Because there's obviously a personal level, and there's how did my decision impact the AoE community as a whole? I don't know how much impact I personally have on it, so to say. I mean, like, the peak and the momentum you talked about came during the COVID era, right? So since then, viewership obviously has dropped a little bit. I still think the viewership is really good and really solid overall. And I think Microsoft are very happy with the viewership that streamers and tournaments are getting. So I don't think there's any problem there. Now, obviously, average viewership did drop with me and T90 going, because we were the 2 biggest streamers on Twitch at that point. whether it's the worst thing that has happened to the AoE community. That's
in recent years. I think he was talking about in recent years.
It sounds very harsh, but I guess there's not been too many bad things happening to the community.
True. That's actually a fair point, you know?
It's like, it sounds harsh, but I mean, maybe. It depends, again, like what eyes you view it with, right? Nilly might view it with, okay, this to get attention to the game, to get more eyes on tournaments. This might be the worst thing, but like, was it bad for the game that we left, for new DLCs, for new this? Probably not. I don't think we had much impact there. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, I think it just depends on which kind of angle you come at it from.
Mm-hmm. We've had this saying in the Age of Empires 2 community, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. I think Zero Empires was the first one introducing it, that a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit part of the argument, that when you have two big streamers, such as you and T90, that people who used to watch you, whenever they're not watching you anymore, they will check out for other people that are still on the platform. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that a lot of platforms did not succeed. Those who tried to buy streamers, you know, because they will watch their favorite streamer, but when the streamer is offline, they just stop watching the platform, right? And that would not be happening when you guys are there. But
I can see that, but it's also like, I think the fact that me and T90 left also gave a lot of room for the others to grow and be more consistently getting those new viewers, right?
Absolutely.
So it's been negative maybe for the overall viewership. I'm sure the new top Twitch channels for Age of Empires are very happy that we left, kind of, because they have now tapped into our market, so to say. And of course, you could argue that us staying there and like passing on the hosts and raids whenever we went offline and continue to advertise for them might have had similar impacts on their channels anyway. So obviously, we'll never know about that. But I think still, like Hera, Memb, all these, Dave has started streaming on Twitch full time as well, right? So I think they are benefiting a lot as well from the fact that we are not permanently there anymore.
I actually like that a lot. I think it was Roxy who told me, or somebody else, I'm not sure anymore, that Hera actually used to have more viewers, a higher average viewership. Don't know about subs when you guys were there. Okay. And I think that's this phenomenon kind of happening, right? People who watch you regularly, now that you're not there anymore, probably not watching anymore. So if at some point, who knows, both you and T90 come back to Twitch, man, will that be a celebration party?
One thing I can say is that the Prime subs probably have been spread around way more.
True.
So,
all right. Speaking of alternatives to Twitch, we were just talking about it before. Kick, a new streaming platform, has been a lot in the news recently. And the first time I really took notice of them was when they announced the acquisition of XQC for $100 million. Yes.
That is so crazy.
$100 million. Not even an exclusive contract.
Yeah, you look like compared to like NBA, for example, there was like this comparison. There was LeBron James next to XQC. And XQC is getting paid like $14 million more than him over 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, LeBron James has a lower 2-year contract than XQC has. And LeBron James cannot go and play for every other team. XQC can. It's, I don't know, it's just crazy. But you know what kicked that strategy? I mean, they've done the same now with Amaranth, with Nakamura, for example. Like they're acquiring a lot of different streamers.
They're not the only ones, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, to each their own, but I cannot fathom listening to XQC for more than 2 minutes straight.
He speaks so fast, man. I don't understand what he's saying.
I'm sure it's just me getting old. I'm absolutely sure that's the case. But yeah, you know, to each their own. Now, I think there are a few things about Kick that make it a much more serious alternative to Twitch than something like, say, Mixer. I mean, who in their right mind would ever try Mixer, right? Yeah, so they use the same technology that Twitch does for broadcasting streams. So the site looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
They don't run any ads.
At the moment.
And they have a 95-5 revenue split with all streamers, which I think is their main selling point, right? Again, for reference, Twitch has a 50-50 revenue share.
Yeah.
So what
we can add on that, YouTube has 70-30.
Right.
And Facebook, I think for the first year has, actually I don't know. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was very good. For the first year, I think you get 90, 10, or 100% even for like 1 year, and then something like that. Maybe that has changed, but it used to be very good.
50-50 by far the worst. Yeah. 95-5 by far the best one.
Yeah.
What's your take on Kick? Do you see them becoming a serious competitor to Twitch in the long run?
So I obviously have been following this because it's very interesting to me. I think it's very exciting that a new competitor comes on the streaming market. It's super exciting. So I have been keeping up with like what they're saying, what they're like, where they're heading, so to say. I watched recently. There's a guy called Jake Lucky, I think his name is. He did an interview with.
know that name.
Yeah, he's like an esports internet journalist kind of thing.
Okay.
He did an interview with both the Twitch CEO and the Kick CEO separately. And I mean, I listened to the interview with the Twitch CEO, and like the Twitch CEO, he seems like a very solid guy, knows what he's doing.
Is it
and
the
like,
guy with the white hair?
White hair. Yeah. He's streaming a lot as well, which is quite cool.
And he answers all the questions.
Yeah.
Sometimes he kind of wanders around a little bit. But
but that's the point. Like you can tell when he's doing the interview, he's very professional and obviously very much like circling around the core of the issues when it comes to the questions. But I still think he spoke very well for himself, and from what he said, it made a lot of sense the way that what they're doing things. But at the same time, you can tell that Amazon are like telling Twitch that, hey, you guys need to become a bit more profitable or cut your losses a little bit to like continue this. And that makes sense because you see that in all their decisions as well. I mean, they backtracked on the 70-30 deal thing, right? But people have done the math on that, and it's like 0.something% of streamers, or like I think it was 0.2% of partnered streamers actually benefit.
If I'm not mistaken, if you're making, I'm sure you know it better than me. So
something like that. But anyway, like a very, 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 very low percentage of.
No, but right. What's part of the deal again? Who are the types of streamers who will be afforded the 70-30
so
split?
I think if you have, it is 250 or 350 subs, paid subs, not gifted subs.
So Prime subs do not count.
That don't count.
Okay.
You need to have that amount of subs 3 months in a row. Then you will be entered into a partnership where you get 70-30 deal for 1 year. So you just need 3 months in a row. But like, there's so many people that like you can have 1,000 subs easily. A lot of streamers do, but 90% of that is gifted. They cannot maintain 350, or I think that's the number, or 300. They cannot maintain that number of paid subs. So it's like the amount of people that would enter this 70-30 deal is so low, and it's like people got hyped when they saw that, and then people crunch the numbers, and it's like, well,
pretty
only
tough.
like less than 1% are going to benefit. So yeah, but let's go back to Kick here. I think Kick's strategy as well with the acquisition of XQC and all those guys, obviously it's a huge number of money, but I mean, we'll talk more about where that money is coming from.
Yep.
But like the strategy of not having them be like bound to stream only on Kick, like non-exclusive contracts.
Pretty crazy to me. Yeah.
But I think that's a massive, clever, like it's super smart in my opinion.
Okay.
Because they'll still go to Twitch and they'll stream there and they'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm streaming on Kick. They'll continuously bring people over to Kick. I think when you put an exclusive contract and you would just move them over to Kick, a lot of people watching them on Twitch would not realize that they have moved, you know? It'll be like, even today I get comments like, where's Viper? You're not streaming on Twitch
right.
anymore.
I didn't think about it. You're so right. A lot of people say, I haven't seen Viper in ages.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
But when they go to Twitch and stream once or twice a week, they'll be like, yeah, I'm streaming on Kick now. I'm streaming on Kick now, you know? They're just bringing more and more people over. So that marketing strategy, I think, is really clever by Kick. 95-5 split obviously will be very interesting for the lower streamers.
Because they can afford to have a lot fewer people and still make roughly the same amount of money they were making on Twitch.
And the 95-5 is also on all gifted subs, right? And you know, and also there's no regional pricing in Kick, right? So suddenly there is so much more incentive for a lot of people to go there. And obviously the moral dilemma, if you will, comes into play there, where a lot of people want to take the high ground and the moral high ground to judge the people that go there. And like,
we're going to be talking about that just right away. I before that, I wonder about something, and that's how are they going to monetize the platform?
Yeah.
Right now, they're not running any ads, and with a revenue share of 95.5, they're not making a whole lot of money there either. Now, I do hear that the folks running Kick are incredibly wealthy, but at some point, if you're serious about the business, you do have to start monetizing somewhere. Now, I don't think they will ever get rid of the revenue share because that's like their main selling point.
Yeah.
I don't see them making that. So it's got to be ads, right? At some point, they're going to be running ads. But the thing is, they kind of present themselves as a very streamer-friendly platform, right? They don't ban any people.
Well, they do ban people.
Okay, but they mean they're like much more friendly than Twitch in terms of moderation. They're not as, you know, they're not trying to looking for stuff to actually ban people. I think that's how they advertise themselves.
Not in like the regards of like we're looking for every single mistake you make to ban. We will ban you immediately if someone reports you. Not like that, but like they still have moderation there because if they didn't, obviously that would be very bad.
But this is the one thing I've noticed. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the first week that XQC was streaming. He was watching The Dark Knight live on stream.
Well, he was warned quickly to take it off, wasn't he?
I don't know if he actually stopped, but the fact that he thinks he can do that. And if you want to attract advertisers, those things are not going to fly, right? So you're gonna need to change something.
But that's how it was on Twitch early days as well, right? Or back then it was like just in TV. People were doing whatever they wanted.
Exactly. No one cared. So that's the thing. If they actually start becoming successful and they start growing, I wonder, what are they going to do? It's going to be ads, but then are they then just going to become Twitch 2.0 at some point? That's kind of what I wonder here.
I mean, like, we have to think about how the platform started, right? I don't know if you know Trainwreck TV. He's one of the...
Trainwreck is one of the guys who owns
one of the
Kick,
co-founders.
Right?
Yeah. Reason they started Kick was because he was not happy with how Twitch was treating him and what they were doing with their platform, right? So he essentially is like against the bad things Twitch are doing, and he's trying to rectify it with his own platform, right? He obviously all the casino gamblers and such moved to Kick immediately because stake. But the Trainwreck TV guy, he is one of the co-founders, and he is against all the bad things, as I've said. I'm repeating myself right now, but I don't see them ever going the direction of Twitch because of that, because he hates that. And when I listened to the interview from the CEO of Stake as well, he was so open about every single thing when it comes to like finances and like what their plans are and everything. And he viewed the way Twitch are monetizing their platform as bad, like that they're not taking advantage of their position, right? And he also talked about when it comes to ads, they will implement ads at some point.
Oh, he did say that?
Yeah,
it's clear.
Of course, they're going to do that. There's no question about
it. I thought it was kind of still up in the air. But
But the way it's going to be done is it's going to be way less intrusive. Like, it's not going to be like you take the whole stream. Like, it'll probably be like pop-up things in the corner. I mean, Twitch does that as well with Amazon ads, right below the streams and such, already smaller windows. But I think Kick will stick to their word in that regard, and they will make the viewing experience way more friendly. I mean, they've done a lot of steps as well, right? Because you can now take a box that will remove any casino streams, any hot tub streams, all that stuff. So those are real. Like, how fast does this happen as well? Someone suggested that, and like 2 days later, it was implemented. And that stuff is crazy. Also, another thing from Kick is that they're planning to pay all the partners per hour.
Interesting.
Per hour, per viewer, something. So it's like they're adding so many incentives for streamers to go there and try to start up doing this full time, right? Now, I've seen some Age of Empires streamers go there as well.
Dogon, Kapach.
Yeah, so we've seen some people already go there. So who knows? Maybe more of them will think that Kick is the future, because I mean, in the end, they have to look out for themselves, right? And Kick might be the best place for them to do that right now.
So let's get to the ethical part of things. One of the major critiques people throw at Kick is that the site is basically run by gambling companies. And so again, for some folks, this raises the problem that streamers who accept contracts from Kick are basically supporting unethical ways of making money. You yourself had to grapple with this a few times before. And so I know you have some thoughts on this. Let's hear it.
So I'm very much against, in general, the whole I'm gonna take the moral high ground on you, and like people are watching. Some people might be listening to this on their phone. The phone was probably produced in China by underpaid miners, right? There's like no. If you look into any company anywhere, you will always find dirt, right? Twitch is owned by Amazon, Meta, Facebook, right? You're always gonna find problems wherever you go, and of course, people view the Kick being backed by Stake.com, which is the gambling site, like blood money. People gamble, people end up even killing themselves or things like that. This became a very dark podcast all of a sudden. But
it was a quick escalation.
Yeah, but the point is that there's always going to be problems wherever you look. And I think in the world of streaming as well, it's so hard to ignore a good opportunity because of how fragile the business is, right? So if you see Kick, they're giving such amazing offers now, like I wouldn't judge a single person in the world if they go there and take that opportunity to make their dream come true, right? If this is going to make them have a chance to go full-time streaming, I mean, yeah, it's the same with any type of sponsorship, right? It's like if you play like a mobile game that can have pay to win like microtransactions, and people could get addicted to that, yes. But people also need to have accountability for themselves, right? You cannot be responsible for every person watching your stream. Of course, you can try to steer them in the right way and be a little bit like warn people and try to avoid certain things. But in the end, I think people need to also be accountable for themselves. And yeah, I mean, again, I wish there was a platform that was clean and had like no negative things about them. But I mean, that's not the world we live in. That's just how it is.
I got to tell you, I didn't know what you were going to say to this question, but I agree 100%. I think my take on this is, if you're someone who's living in a Western country today, it's very likely that right now you're consuming several products that were produced under very unethical conditions. It could be your phone, your tablet, your clothes. And I mean, even if you're conscious about these things, sometimes it's impossible to avoid them. You know, if you might have a job that requires you to have a phone, or we have some schools around my place that require you to have an iPad. So you cannot go to the school without an iPad, and it's a pretty good school.
Really?
Yeah, they only teach on iPads.
Wow.
So yeah, I think if you're honest with yourself, and as long as nobody's breaking the law, I personally find it difficult to criticize content creators who accept these kinds of contracts. So I personally agree.
It's also they're still even if Kick is backed by this that has these potential negative sides, they're still bringing out right now an amazing product for people to consume, right? And for people to make a living from, right? So there's still positives within that, but of course everyone in the end has to strike their own balance in terms of what they think is fine or not. But I personally I'm quite tired of this whole people picking their battles and be like, oh yeah, this is really bad for me. I don't agree with this. And they pick that, but then they ignore all the 17 other things they're doing themselves. But they chose this. This very thing is what I'm going to
Yeah, what I can totally understand if you have a personal history that's very connected to one of these things and that has negatively affected you in your life, that's totally cool. I don't know if you have a parent who lost all his savings to gambling. Sure, you can be totally against it and not support it. I just don't think it's fair to expect other people to just live by your rules, right? I don't think that's fair. All right, let's turn our attention to the tournament scene. That actually is some Age of Empires 2. And as always, fair warning, there will be spoilers ahead. Masters of Arena 7 is just recently finished, and Tato has been crowned the champion after beating Winchester in the final 4-3. And you know, every time a player who's not necessarily an arena expert only wins the Masters of Arena, you know what's coming? I'm always reminded of the prophetic words uttered by the great Eighth Wonder. So I thought it would be interesting to bring up this piece of Age of Empires 2 history. As most our viewers will know, in our community, arena players are affectionately called clowns. But do you know why? Well, here's why. In January 2018, after beating Melkor beating Metal in Masters of Arena 5, and Metal was considered one of the best arena players back then, here's what Eighth Wonder said. And he was a pretty good player himself, right?
Yeah, he was very good.
And I'll quote him exactly as he wrote it, because there's a tons of mistakes, but I think it adds to the epicness of the whole thing. So I quote, "I love how always when the Master of Arena is announced, all these so-called arena pros are so excited and dream about winning, and then comes good old RM players who play arena once in a while and kick their clown asses. Bunch of clowns on clown map. It's like Land Nomad or Black Forest. They're good / high rate because it's a clown map and no one good actually plays that map. But when a good map, what did he say? But when a good player actually plays that map regularly, they kick those clowns back to HD." This is something along these lines. So now I know why.
Legendary quote.
But you know, in any case, history aside, I'm not at all surprised that Tato won the whole thing. He's always been considered, one of the most creative players in the pro scene, and I think it does feel to me like Arena is the type of map that lends itself to this type of innovative strategies, right? So what are your thoughts on the tournament?
I think with this tournament as well, then the way the draft was done, you had to adapt a lot. You couldn't prepare at all because you didn't know what civs were going to be available. For context, at the start of the set, before drafting civs, there will be 20-something civs banned randomly. So there will be you could have Portuguese, Burgundians, Bohemians, all these civs could be gone, and you have to play with Mayans, Huns, Chinese, So I think that also leaned towards Tato because he's very good at adapting and coming up with playstyles with these unorthodox civs. But yeah, Tato played amazing that whole tournament. He was actually down, I think it was 3-1 in the final against Manchester.
Oh, okay.
And he came back to win. So he also clapped me 3-0, by the way. But what I liked about
the quarterfinals, if I'm not mistaken.
What I liked about Tato's style this tournament was that he kind of the meta has become so standard now that you play the scout, light cavalry, fight for relics, Tato kind of took a bit of the old school clown strategies, if you will. And he went with those forward castle drops and things like that. So I think Tato was a worthy clown this year.
Yeah, so you mentioned the whole banning system, which there were a lot of compliments for that. You know, people thought it was a pretty good idea. I wonder, would that work on a multi-map tournament? I kind of doubt it, right?
Because I think it would be better for a multi-map tournament than a single map tournament.
Okay, so let me say why I think, in my mind, why it wouldn't.
Then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Indeed. So let's start with the wrong part. Because I imagine when you have multi-maps, there are not too many civs that are actually viable for those maps. So if those are banned, you're going to be left with civs. There might be a wild... Because, okay... to push this back a little bit, to pull back a little bit. So Age of Empires is mostly balanced around Arabia.
Yes.
Right. So I think my fear is when you start banning civs that are not viable at all on some maps, or if you only ban one of those civs and not the other one, it's going to create a lot of mismatches. That would be my...
Okay. So
what do you think about that? Yeah,
I'm done.
What's wrong here?
So let's put all that aside. Single map. How many mismatches do you get on Arena with a bunch of random civs?
Many, I would assume.
A lot. I would argue that probably way more than you would in a multi-tournament.
So what you're saying, the problem still exists on Arena, but it's just even more...
Yeah, like Arena is like...
pronounced.
Arena has, like, the reason I hate... Like, I like Arena as a map. I like to play it in tournaments, but I hate Arena on ladder. Because the random civ is what everyone plays these days. And you can get so many civ wins there. It's like, okay, I know the game is over at the start because, I have a Khmer against Teutons, for example, right? It's like, okay, he just built halves and onagers and I'm dead. I can't do anything, you know? There's so many matches where it's like unwinnable, in my opinion. But on a mixed map tournament, let's say you have 20 civs available for 5 maps. There's going to be civs there you can imagine, okay, this civ and this civ can be good on that map, but this civ is available and he'll probably pick that on this map. I think what's going to happen is going to leave a lot more room to strategize on the spot in the draft and be like, okay, if I leave this open, he's going to pick that for this map, so I can pick this civ to counter that on that map, you know? And I also think on mixed maps, there's a lot more civs that are viable than before, for sure. So it's like, I think it would be way more exciting if we had a mixed map tournaments where there were the random bans, because you still cannot prepare properly. You have to adapt on the spot, which is really cool. I like that. And I think it would leave a lot of exciting matchups, not only matchups, but you would see so many different styles as well on different maps, which I think would be really fun. But I think it will be still way more fun and balanced compared to like a single map. Like even King of the Desert Arabia now, right? It wasn't any random bans, but it was like the timing of the picks also is super important, right? You might get this civ against this civ or that civ against that civ, and you can't really control it because it's going to be the same map anyway. But with mixed maps, you can control which map you play which civ and a little bit more control.
Interesting. So you see it coming for a future multi-map tournament?
If I'm hosting a new tournament myself or doing something, then I would probably head that direction.
I saw the smirk on his face. So
if I ever get the chance or get the energy or want to do something again, like I did with the Open Classic, I would probably head something in that direction because I think that would... Again, it's not that very taxing on you as a player as well because you don't have to prepare that much. Obviously, you have to look at the maps and whatnot, but you don't have to train for hours and hours and figure out what's the best civ because you have to adapt on the spot. And I like that format as a tournament as well because it will reward the adaptation and the ability to adapt on short notice.
Cool. So that was Masters of Arena. It finished on July 2nd. And right now, the biggest tournament we have is the delicious World Cup. And World here is spelled WHIRLED. So a bit of a funny wordplay there.
I always struggle. I always feel like I'm saying World Cup, like as in like World Cup of football.
That's the idea, I'm pretty sure. So that's a 3v3 team game tournament with some spicy and food-inspired maps, which is now in the final 4 round. So we have 4 teams left. That would be Gamer Legion, Aftermath, MYI, and the Barbaguettes, who maybe surprisingly beat WWP yesterday, and that would be Mr. Yo's team. Are you gonna make fun of it?
Of course. We'll see. No, but like this tournament has been really spicy because I mean I was in Norway during the qualifier rounds initially, so I wasn't able to play the first rounds, but I checked Wikipedia after the first 2 days, and like there were so many interesting results, right? A team of Winchester, ACCM, and was it Classic Pro? Maybe the Classic
ACCM we said,
Winchester, ACCM, and I don't remember the third player. I think it's Classic Pro probably, but like they went out 0-2. They didn't win a single set, right? AM lost their first round as well against was it Fox? Yeah, Fox beat them.
It was a best of 1 to be fair, right? It was a best of 1.
That's what made it so let's say clutch. Like you have to perform from the start. I think that's also why like we had Suomi lost their first round as well against Amigos. And we ended up facing Suomi in the quarterfinals for the qualifier for the top 4, right? And that's like us against Suomi is like normally it's third place match, maybe semifinal, maybe finals,
right.
you know?
Right.
So that was like, we didn't like that too much. But you had the same, like Amigos faced AM, which was also like on these maps, which are very strategic and very like different. That could be a super scary matchup for AM as well. But I think the maps are super fun and super different, and they leave a lot of room to strategize, except the pizza place. The pizza map is crazy. I have a lot of fun playing it.
Weren't you? Okay, so this is kind of crazy. When I was coming here yesterday, I was on the train, and they do have Wi-Fi on the train, but it's terrible and really slow. So I could only hear it. So I was on Twitter, I was only hearing. I was listening to Dave, and he was streaming your game. And at some point on that map, I just hear Dave go, no. So apparently, if I understood things correctly, Max tried to douche Tato. Yeah. Tato destroyed the foundation. And then somehow you were dead. That's what I could pick up.
It was a really fun game. I kind of thought the game was over after the douche because the douche failed almost twice. He did get it up the second try. So he still was able to douche Tato. But... I took the game a little bit for granted after that opening because I also killed 2 vills from the Max. He tried to attack my lumber camp vills. I walled him in, and it was in range of my town center. So we were off to like an amazing start. I was like, okay, cruise control.
And the first game, I believe, was pretty.
First game was fairly straightforward.
Easy, yeah.
Easy. But the pizza map, the fact that happened and they were still able to win. I mean, I got cornered. I didn't have access to gold, and like I was trapped. I had like 50 vills in one TC. Trying to chop wood to get to the outside, and Janissaries, Mangonels, a douche from Max on my base, and then I see Rubenstock come with Wills around the corner, and he walls off the woodland in the back.
So you couldn't escape?
I couldn't escape. Yeah, I think I escaped with like 6 Wills in total. So yeah, awesome. I was dead. But that was a crazy comeback from them.
All right, so the Delicious World Cup is played on the Dynasties of India version of the game, which means I believe we still haven't seen Romans in action in the big tournament. Right? I think Romans are not available in this tournament. Is that correct?
We're playing on the most recent patch, most recent DLC, but Romans are not allowed.
Right, so it's with the Dynasties of India version, let's call it.
It would be Return of Rome, but just Romans are not allowed.
Which is
kind of the same thing.
Right, so, but they are available on multiplayer, though.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I love playing with them. I think it's a really fun civ to play with. The Legionaries look awesome. The Centurions look amazing. So what's your assessment of their competitive viability? Are we likely to see them on tournaments?
Yeah, so I haven't played them too much yet still, because obviously you don't play them in tournaments, and I play random civ still on the ladder. But I feel like the civ is very good, especially in team games. They're going to be very good from a pocket position. Games. Yeah. In 1-1, they're definitely good, but I don't think they're like super broken there. As in, like, I still think Chinese, Mayans, etc. will probably outperform them because Romans struggle a bit against. I mean, they don't have great transitions in late game for range units. They're kind of stuck in the infantry, cavalry,
scorpions,
right? Exactly. And there are some weaknesses there in that being locked into that playstyle. But
so you think in a pocket position you can play more cavalry?
Exactly, and that's where I feel they would shine the most. But obviously, they're still 5% more efficiency workers in pretty much every regard. They're still going to be an amazing civ in 1v1 as well.
So I have next on my list Alcatraz. So I didn't.
Now we're getting into the actual. This is why I came here for the podcast. This is it.
I didn't follow much of it, so I'll let you introduce the whole thing. So this is a custom scenario. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was streaming the other day, and I mean this is a couple of weeks back now, but someone came to me and like, Viper, try the Alcatraz speedrun. I'm like, what is that? Okay, I'll check it out. I went to the scenario. I checked the mod, what it was called, and it's like, can you quick wall like the Viper? I'm like, well, now I have to try it. And I started trying it, and I was like, oh, this is fun, you know? And like it's like an obstacle course essentially. You have one villager, you can only build buildings, no military units or military buildings. So you have to like make your way past first a longsword, then a camel, then a crossbow, then a Kamayuk, then 3 wolves, then 2 longswords, then a knight, and then a lancer, and then
step lancer at the end.
Lancer, and the final goal is to like destroy a 1 HP palisade.
Hit the palisade. Yeah.
And once you destroy that, you are victorious.
And there's a bomber tower shooting at you at the end, right?
Yeah. While you're trying to get to the palisade, there's a bomber tower there as well. So it's like just a really fun obstacle course, and you know this got kind of this crazy hype where it's like, all right, now like try to beat it first and foremost, right? Okay, we were able to beat it, and we like got like 2 minutes ish, and like, oh, that's a really good time. Then people started like racing, you know, and it's like getting records.
Yeah,
and
it's a real speed run, right?
Yeah, something like 155, 154, and like it keeps shredding off those extra seconds. And you know, at some point I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try and get the world record, and I got it. Then I was beat. Then I got it again. Then I was beat. Then I got it. You know, rinse and repeat.
Always by the same person.
Yeah, it was the same guy. White Court actually.
It's White.
White Court,
like the old school player.
Yeah, White Court.
from Chile, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. Yeah.
Crazy, amazing.
I refer to him mostly as Benjamin when I'm like doing the videos and such, because that's the Facebook. But yeah, it's Whitecourt, so also another top player.
Amazing player from Chile.
Yeah, and then before I went to Norway, I took the record. I think I had 146. And I went to Norway happy, and then like on the way to Norway, pretty much, I get a link, and then like, oh, one guy got 144.
Here we go again.
But yeah, it was fun. Obviously, I once I came back from Norway again, I went back, I checked what he did, and I tried to beat it. And in the end, the conclusion now is that I have the same time as him, so we have a shared record, I would say.
Cool.
But he has the guy who created the scenarios. I don't remember his name right now. I feel bad about that. But I'm sure we can
put it in the description.
Yeah, exactly. But he has added like 5, 6, 7 other missions as well. There's even
one
a
co-op.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And that's where I'm like thinking, do co-op with Doubt, for example, should be hilarious.
I think right now it's Dave and T West who's got the record.
They have the record.
If I'm not mistaken.
Well,
I saw.
Time to get to
Here
it.
we go.
But anyway, like the amount of hype and fun, and like my YouTube videos are doing amazing. People love this content. Like, and I've seen like T90 has checked it out. I don't think Hera has tried it, but he has talked about it. He tweeted at me once my record was broken, of course. Jordan has played Doubt. I offered Doubt $500 if he was able to get under 2 minutes.
I saw that and he couldn't, right?
He still hasn't beat the first mission. But just the amount of fun and entertainment that came from just like a comment in chat, hey, can you try to play this? Is crazy.
I wonder if we couldn't have more of those things. Do you remember back in the days, what was it called?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Go ahead.
When Microsoft entered their thing, maybe I don't know what you're talking about, but they did like a thing where it was like everyone's competing against each other to survive the longest.
The Battle Royale. No.
Okay.
That's not what I was talking about. There was a scenario. It was like a challenge. I think.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, go on.
I think Timon is going to help me here. What was it? Was it with the Teutons? You were playing as the Teutons?
Yeah, you were in the middle of the map and they were like around you. Yeah, we were talking about the same thing.
Okay. So that was something that I remember people were very excited about. You remember the official name? Again,
I don't remember the name. Description, post-production, we'll find it out.
Yeah, we'll just put it
But anyway, it was like a whole concept of like you were fighting against each other to get the best time, best score.
Right, hold on for as long as possible.
Exactly.
I think that's what it was.
Or kill 3 things fastest or anything, but you have a scoring system.
Right, so people like these things. So I wonder if we couldn't have like a Microsoft sponsored competition for maps like these.
It doesn't even have to be sponsored. Like you can put an in-game reward or just like put this in the game. Hey, we're gonna have they create an official thing and like people compete against each other.
Drives up engagement.
Yeah, just exactly like the amount of people that the good thing about this is like a top player. I could be the best in the world. I could play against the worst in the world. We could be competing in the same thing and probably be relatively competitive, right? That's the charm of this, right?
Yeah.
It's just so fun where everyone can get involved, and I would love to see more of those things, like actually officially.
And I think a lot of the lower level players actually tend to come up with even crazier strategies and more creative strategies than the pros. I've noticed this many times because I think pros always think about real in-game situations. Yeah. That's what you're trained to do, right? And these folks, not necessarily.
An example there is in the Alcatraz speedrun that I've been doing. I was doing my way the whole time with gates and all that stuff. And then a guy in chat is like, have you tried a wonder? A wonder? So now the meta is, after a random comment.
For the crossbow, right?
Yeah, after a random comment in chat, now the meta is to quick wall with a wonder.
Amazing.
That's the beauty of this.
Amazing. All right. Viper, looking at the tournaments we had this year so far, and looking at what has been announced so far, it seems increasingly likely to me that we won't be able to reach the $615,000 we had in 2022 for Age of Empires 2 tournaments, which itself was already lower than the $640,000 we had in 2021.
But last year is including Red Bull?
Last year's, yes. So 2022. Yeah. So that's including the 200,000 from Red Bull.
This year won't have a Red Bull, so that's going to be a significant impact on that, right? But
but we had NEC, for example. We did not have NEC last year.
Okay, but do you have numbers on how much we have so far?
We have close to 300,000, not quite.
Okay.
So we don't know. A lot of things can still change. And I bring this up because I want to talk about this system that we have currently in our community that we've always kind of had in the last couple of years, that it's the streamers that are actually tournament organizers.
Right.
So basically, if a streamer decides they want to organize a tournament, they contact Microsoft, and Microsoft decides they afford them sponsorship or not. And the problem with this is that if, for example, T90 decides he does not want to organize Hidden Cup, boom, there's no Hidden Cup. Yep. If you decide you don't want to organize another Open Classic, boom, there's no Open Classic. I think Dave last year organized the Wandering Warriors Cup.
Dave Antinani.
I don't know if he'll announce anything this year. And to be perfectly clear, I'm not criticizing you guys for any of these. I mean, you're players, you're casters, you want to play the game, you want to cast the game. I don't think it should be your job to, on top of all of this work you will already do, to still organize tournaments. So I wonder, wouldn't it be a more sustainable system to have Microsoft say, hey, listen, this year we will sponsor the Microsoft Open, $50,000. Who wants to organize it? Then people who have the time, who have the skill to organize a tournament can apply, and Microsoft picks the best candidate. So in my mind, the way it works is we could have a hybrid system where individual streamers could still apply for sponsorship for their own tournaments. But on top of that, you have, let's say, one tournament per year to begin with, where Microsoft goes, this tournament will happen. Who wants to organize it? And I'm not saying this system would lead to bigger prize pools. If anything, I think at first it would lead to smaller prize pools, but I think it would be a more consistent and sustainable system in the long run, at least. And the most important point, casters would only have to cast, players would only have to play, which is what you like to do. So do you have any thoughts on this?
So first of all, when people apply to host a tournament, that's anyone, not streamers. It will be like people that are not streaming.
Correct. If you ask me who I think would be qualified for that, Krazini,
Robo, so tournament admins, pretty much.
Correct. People who've done this many, many times, and they kind of develop a concept where they think should be for this tournament, and Microsoft goes, I don't like that. Oh, I like that.
I think that has to be like a consistent thing, though, that they get one guy to be like, okay, I'm going to run this event, and he should do it continuously because it should stay within the same wavelength in terms of format and settings. It would be weird if you're switching the admin.
Let's say I grant you that. What do you think? Let's talk about the system itself, awarding sponsorship in this way. What do you think about it? Because for me, the big thing is here, we're not relying on streamers who, have very precarious jobs. One day you're streaming on Twitch, the next day you're on Kick, the next day you're.
I get that, but again, I have more follow-up questions.
For sure.
Would it be a completely open streaming? Anyone can stream? Would it be hosted on a Microsoft channel?
Yes. I think at the end of the day, right. And that's one of the downsides. It would have to be streamed on a completely new channel, let's say Microsoft Twitch channel. Yeah. And then, of course, you would have to pay for casters. And that's why I say first, so it's basically a Red Bull tournament, but it's Microsoft's name that it's in it. And I think for me, the big positives I already said, it's kind of, it gives people the chance to do what they can do best. And then we have consistency. We can say this always happens each year in October, for example. And I think it would be one of those tournaments where the whole community rallies around, sort of like with Red Bull. In
a perfect world.
In a perfect world, of course. There's always going to be some infighting, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of holes to poke here, but this is a general system.
I can poke a couple of those holes.
Okay, let's hear it.
First of all, it's like, so it's going to be paid casters, paid admins. That's like that cost budget.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Prize pools are going to go down.
Exactly.
For this one tournament.
Might mean less prize pool for other tournaments, depending on how expensive to begin with. But also we're starting from scratch, new channel, complete. I mean, it could be streamed on Age of Empires channel, right? So you have some thought, like there's an Age of Empires Twitch channel, right? That one could be used, but it's like, how long would it take for that to grow big enough that this actually pays off? There will be years. We're talking years.
It's an investment, though. Yeah.
But you would, with that investment, if you stream on all different 17, 18 with different caster channels that will be spread around, you're probably going to get double, triple the viewership compared to if you try to stream on that single channel.
The way I see this is if you have all streamers kind of getting their communities together and pointing them to one particular stream, you could help grow this channel in this manner. And I think a lot of people would be willing to do that because they know it's Microsoft's channel. They know if they support this channel, they're supporting the game at the same time. There's also a lot of optimism here, maybe naive optimism, but
I mean, you will be sort of supporting the game, you will be supporting the players, the casters, but again, as I have grown accustomed now to the scene and the business side of it, the way Microsoft will probably view this is like, okay, so we're gonna have to pay casters the tournament prize money. If it's a LAN, we obviously have to pay all the players that qualify to come there to the LAN. It's like, that's a lot of money invested where they could just hand out all this. Hey, we give you the prize pool and that's it. Now they have to give the prize pool and all the top like costs on top.
Well,
like,
I know it's a lot easier for Microsoft to just give the money and you guys do your thing. And in general, streamers are pretty good at doing this. We've noticed it.
Microsoft definitely has enough money. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's an allocated budget to Age of Empires.
Right, I understand. Right? It's either the budget goes up or the prize pools go down. I'm aware of that. I just think in the long term, and it doesn't have to be more than one tournament. I think let's start with one tournament. Let's see how it works. Will this lead to success or not?
But then you also reach the point of, okay, so they can have how many casters? 3, maybe 4?
Let's say there will be fighting. Of course, there will be fighting, but those who are not allowed to cast on the main channel can still stream on their own channels.
As long as it's completely open streaming as well.
No. It has to be community oriented. So open stream, stuff like that.
But that's the issue. If it's open stream, I would rather stream my own channel if I'm a big caster. That's going to be way more beneficial. It's tricky. It's a very tricky one. I personally think that's naive optimism somewhat. I would love, like, if this was set up from the day DE was released. Hey, Microsoft is in charge. I mean, they are in charge, obviously, but like, Microsoft is running. We're going to have 3 Grand Slams every year. First quarter, second quarter, fourth quarter, whatever. And that has been continued from year to year. I think now it's too late to set that up. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I like the idea. If it was done properly, it would probably work. But that could have been like what Red Bull was doing, right? If Microsoft just decided that, okay, this Red Bull event is going to be our way of doing this, and this is going to be consistent year after year after year. Yes.
The thing that supports my thinking here is that Microsoft would be a more consistent partner. Red Bull, this year, they're not going to be with us. Who knows next year? Yeah. Again, I already mentioned that T90, Dave. And again, I want to make this extremely clear. I'm not criticizing anybody here.
Of course.
But there's just more consistency in theory. I mean, we've lived through the dark ages of Age of Empires 2, where Microsoft just completely abandoned Age of Empires. But in theory, I think Microsoft is a more consistent partner because they're interested in supporting their own game, right?
Of course. But I mean, like, they benefit from just giving the money as well, because I mean,
it's easier.
It's easier for them. But on the topic of whole like streamers being hosts of tournaments, it's like obviously right now we have like King of the Desert, Warlords, Nilly has NEC,
and they do amazing work.
They do amazing work.
Let's be clear.
But there are obviously somewhat conflict of interest in some regards to like they are looking out for themselves while they're hosting the events for the most part. Obviously, in these days we're in a good position now where most people are doing open streaming within certain restrictions, like just follow, put the banner, shout out the sponsors, shout out the host, that's all good. It was not always like that in the past. It was a bit more like cutthroat in terms of who's going to be allowed to stream. You might have to do things you were not happy with in order to be allowed to stream. So I think those days are behind us. But obviously, if you're organizing the tournament and streaming it yourself, you want the best conditions for your own stream because you are putting in all the work. So that does add a little bit of conflict of interest in terms of community interest versus your own interest, right? So I can see the issue there in terms of like streamers being the host of the tournament and the organizer. But I think most people these days are doing it in the correct way that is beneficial for everyone. And I think the scene is healthy that way. But of course, it does leave a little bit of a monopoly in terms of like the biggest streamers are always getting the biggest tournaments. Right. And if you're like even trying to get into the tournament scene and hey, Microsoft, can I have $5,000 for this tournament idea? Is super hard, right? But what Microsoft has done recently is they've made an application form where it's like going to be different. So you have an application form that is like, you just fill this in with all your details and ideas and whatever, and they will look at it, which is way better than what they did in the past, which was just like, hey, try to get in touch with the right person.
It was kind of random.
Yeah. So I think the scene is going the right way, and I think it's going to continue to be quite healthy. And I'm personally happy with the way it is right now.
Okay, cool. All right, so a few weeks ago, the user White Wolf on the official Age of Empires forums, he found a few files and folders inside his AoE 2 directory that seemed to indicate skins and battle passes might be coming to our game. Another source has told me these files have been in the game several months now, but it does seem that Microsoft is at least considering the possibility. To me personally, this is no big surprise, and to anyone who follows my interviews, I do think the writing was on the wall for a long time now. It's been on the wall for a long time now, but none of this is official, obviously, so we're just speculating here. For me personally, assuming there'll be absolutely no competitive advantage to buying these things, I'm 100% for it. I think it's great. I've heard a lot of people saying they want regional skins and regional architecture sets. So I think giving
the Viper voice lines.
Right. There used to be those things with Katsuni back in the day.
Yeah, but also in StarCraft they had like these paid packs
with the casters.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So I think giving these people, these folks, the opportunity to have these things and at the same time help finance the development and maintenance of the game, I think that's awesome. And I'm pretty sure that would lead to some more and better tournament funding in the long run too, or that would be the hope. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'll be spending exactly $0 in these things. I cannot for the life of me understand the appeal of skins. And again, I'm sure this is just me getting old, but I do hope I'm in the minority here and a few folks that are going to actually end up buying these things.
Well, I mean, still, it's pure speculation, right? We don't know if these files are there for a reason or just they may be testing something or if it's actually going to come. But I mean, Battle Pass and skins still do imply free-to-play usually. That games are free, and then you can buy the Battle Pass to get benefits or skins and such on top of that. So, I mean, if they introduce that, I would imagine as well that the game would go free to play.
That's interesting.
And then maybe DLCs will be the paid content on top of Battle Pass skins and whatnot. I mean, again, I am fully on board with you. If there's any competitive advantage, it's a big no-go, 100% big no-go. I also don't want there to be forced skins. Like, let's say I put a skin on my scouts. I don't want it to be the thing that my opponent has to see the skin. If there's a toggle option where like no skins, for example, right?
I understand that, but isn't that the whole point of the skins?
It is. But like in StarCraft, for example, when I played them, like the Zerglings suddenly had like spikes and like they looked completely different. I didn't like that.
It should not affect the visibility and the readability of the game. That's for sure.
But also if you change the skin of a knight, suddenly you're not sure, is that a knight? Is it a cavalier? Is it a,
It needs to be very decent.
So I want, as long as, if they were to implement this and they did it right, where you can make sure that you don't get a negative impact. I'm also fine with it. Like, if that's a way to bring more funding to the game and people can buy what they want, right? The game is free to play, might bring a lot of new players, and then DLCs continue to come out. I mean, that's just good for the game, right? A lot of people would argue that there's enough civs right now.
Yes.
I'm personally of the opinion that the more civs, the better, obviously, but I'm a full-time player, content creator. It's just good for me. But I also like, when I spend so much time in this game, any change is like fresh, refreshing, and keeps my motivation up. So for me, it's I will be fully on board as long as it's done right.
Right, and with the free-to-play thing, it's a very interesting point because a lot of games that do make use of skins, like, I don't know, League of Legends and Fortnite, I think both of them are free-to-play, right? Yeah. And there's CSGO that did not used to be free-to-play, but has gone free-to-play recently.
And their monetization is also skins?
Through skins, and they added a lot more skins. They have agents now and gloves. It used to be only
CSGO like
weapons.
Gambling as well? I see people like, oh, this guy, he pulled a skin and it's worth $200,000. I'm like, what?
They're like third-party websites where you can gamble with skins.
I don't want that to come to Age of Empires.
I'll never forget this. The first time I actually was made aware of what an impact a skin can have, I was playing a CSGO game, and I just hear, in CSGO there's voice chat the whole time, and I just hear one guy, whoa, you have this one. I think it was a dragon lore or something. Okay. The guy was shouting for the first 2 minutes because somebody had a dragon lore, which I think it's a very expensive skin.
But how do you even know what skin is expensive and what skin is good and what skin is unique? And how do you even know?
I think it's based on how rare they are. So if a skin is very rare...
But to know, you have to go to somewhere to look up?
People just know. I don't know. People just know. And then at some point, it's just... a skin is worth how much you pay for it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, if there's just generic skins that don't become a gambling where you like sell them online, bring it on to Age of Empires. I don't want the whole...
I agree. And I just want to bring very quick the other side of the story, which I think some folks are against the introduction of skins. And the criticism I've seen was based mostly around what people call FOMO. So apparently that's the fear of missing out. Right. I've done some research. So that would be people buying everything because they're afraid of missing out on features.
But how is that even? Yeah, okay, go.
I'd be a lot more receptive to that argument if we were talking about, the skins that give you competitive advantage. Exactly. And if we were talking about a much younger player base. As we know in Age of Empires 2, the player base tends to be much older than most other games and more mature. So you would expect these people to not allow themselves to be exploited by these kinds of things.
I still don't get how there's a FOMO of skins. What's buy the skins you like?
Hey man, I don't get it either, but I know this is the thing and a lot of people have talked about it, so right. I guess that's fair.
But anyway, the fact that these folders are in the game is clear indicator that they probably have considered it. Maybe they considered it months ago and they just scratched the idea, right? Who knows? Speculation anyway, but I mean, that's why we're here. It's fun.
Indeed. All right, so that was it for the first part of the podcast, guys. We're going to now move on to the interview with Mr. Yo. See you there. All right, folks, and we're now joined by Mr. Yo here on the podcast. We're very glad to have him. He's, of course, someone who doesn't need any introduction. He's the undisputed best Chinese player, someone who's been around for many, many years, one of the real legends of this game. And Mr. Yo, I'm very thankful you took the time to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad to be here.
I was trying to remember the other day. I think the first time we met, we've known you for many, many years now. I think the first time we met was in the Maldives. Is that true? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. And I was really young, and that was my first LAN event, to be honest. And I remember every details.
Do you remember how the final went?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
Don't want to talk about it, but I remember everything.
No, that was the first time we met Yo. I think Jinghua was there as well. By the way, Jinghua, does he still play? Love Chain?
Yeah. He's like 2K1.
Okay, cool.
Now,
what's his nickname right now?
I don't remember. He's changed from time to time. I don't
remember. All the Chinese players change nicknames all the time.
I think Paladin was there too. I remember Paladin.
He was
there too.
That was a good time. Okay, Yo, so you're pretty much streaming full time now, right? That's your full time job, playing Age of Empires and streaming.
Yes, it is.
So how does your day look like on average? When I was visiting you, you went to bed when I woke up at like 8-9 a.m. But that was because you were playing League of Legends. How does the day look for you, right?
Nothing changed really. I wake up, I stream, and I'm off stream. Then I go play League of Legends. Then I go sleep again. We skip some parts, like going to toilet and eat something.
Okay, we figured those are involved. So nothing changed. I don't even know, when was I there? 7-8 years ago, and 2 weeks I spent there, and it was the same every day.
Was it for the Clan Masters? Are we talking about the Clan Masters tournament? Was that 2017, Mr. Yo? You remember?
2016 October,
it
no?
Was Viper got sick, and he stayed there for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks-ish. I remember I forgot my underwear there, and Yo probably still has it.
I don't think we need to know that.
A dog has it.
Mr. Yo, I do wonder, a lot of the full-time streamers in our community, they are active in several different platforms. So, Viper, for example, he's streaming on Facebook, but he's also got an Instagram account. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a TikTok account. And I wonder if something like that is true for you. I mean, are you active in different platforms as well, or is it just streaming for you?
I used to had this idea of going to make some videos. Like we have a different website than YouTube, but something similar.
Is it Bilibili?
And yeah. And I got too lazy, so I stopped. And I wanted to go to the TikTok, the Chinese version TikTok, and I got lazy.
Is it
so
Douyin?
I stopped. Yeah, it's Douyin.
We are on point. Yeah. Okay. Why did you stop with the Chinese TikTok?
Lazy.
Okay. Too busy playing League of Legends, right?
Yeah, probably. The problem is I can't find anyone to help me do the editing of the videos. I can't do it myself.
Yeah. But your streaming platform is still Douyu, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so obviously now we have Hera, Memb, etc. on Twitch. They have like averaged 1,000 to 1,500 viewers. What is the viewership actually looking like for you and the other Chinese streamers over at Douyu?
No, I can't see the real number, but I can only guess it's around 1,000 to 2,000.
Okay, so Douyu is still. I remember back in the day there was always we saw a lot of viewers on Douyu, but like the numbers are inflated, right? They're like not real.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, is there a reason why they're doing that? Do you know why they're doing that?
No idea.
Okay.
Well, I guess
to make the number looks good. I think.
I guess fair enough.
Are there other full-time Age of Empires 2 streamers in the Chinese community?
Me and Lex and Vivi and JBT, if you know the guy.
Was he a caster in the Clan Masters?
Jibatong.
Jibatong, of course.
Jibatong, yeah, we know. Oh, JBT.
JBT.
Yeah, they always use the short terms. I remember when I was in China, I was always called VIP. So I was like, I felt like I was a very important person, but it's just they call me that. Yeah.
So they're also full-time streamers. So they make their living playing Age of Empires too.
Yeah.
On that, Paladin does not stream anymore then?
No. He went to do other stuff.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Okay, right. Because when I was in China for the 2 weeks I was sick, I was actually staying at Paladin's house where Yo was also living. You don't live there anymore, or?
No.
Okay, yeah. He had a nice house with a top floor and such.
Wow.
It was with this. They had like their own gaming room as well with like eight, 9 pieces set up. It was really cool, actually.
Mr. Yo, you're someone who's very well known for being like really knowledgeable about the game. When people talk about you, they talk about how good you are with coming up with strategies and analyzing the game. So I do wonder, do you like to pass that knowledge to other players? Do you like coaching?
I hate to do the coaching because I tried it once. Okay, I had let's call him a student, and I try my best. I teach him like 5 times, and he didn't improve a single point. That's what pissed me off.
Okay.
And I stopped doing that.
I just don't have the patience to watch them flower, like grow into the beautiful flower.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't stand. I am trying to like teach everything, and he didn't improve anything, and
was
it doesn't
that like,
pay off.
Right? Was that paid coaching? Was he paying you for the coaching, or
Yeah,
were you
it's
just
paid.
like?
It's
Okay,
paid.
okay, okay. But you don't like, let's say you play a tournament and you like, I assume you train some with Vivi, maybe with Lix. But do you guys talk a lot and share strategies and share what you know and like come up with things together, or are you also like staying to yourselves?
You mean 1v1 tournament?
Yeah, for example, 1v1. Like, do you and Vivi, do you share strategies?
Yeah. Of course, we share everything.
Okay,
But
so your main.
Vivi, actually, me and Vivi doesn't practice that much.
Okay.
I don't know why. But when we practice, we share some strategy, of course.
Okay. Who are your training partners mostly?
Mostly Dogao and Winchester and
Nikov
Nikov, maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hear the rumors.
And Hera.
Okay.
And Hera
as well. Okay.
It's good to know. Are there any younger players right now in the Chinese community that you see like evolving into professional players?
Not really. Okay. No, I don't think so.
Chinese scene is promising, we can tell.
So are there just not enough young people playing the game, or do you just think Age of Empires 2 is still...
No, it's because the coaching has
they
no
don't
patience.
Have any coaches. Yeah. That's true.
We don't have any coach either, right?
True. So the balance in the game right now, are you happy with it? Do you think it's the balance is in a good spot?
I think so. I don't think it's much better than the Woobly days when everyone's picking Hans and Chinese.
Yeah. Dude, is there any civ right now where you think is like they need some buffs, or is there any civ you think are OP?
Roman is OP.
Okay. Oh, you think so? Interesting.
Yeah, it is. The economy is amazing, but their units are bad. But still, it's OP in 1v1.
Oh, you think they're OP? I thought they were like OP in team games where it would be like pocket and you can play cavalry. That's where I was thinking it would be OP.
Well, they don't have Paladin, so I don't think they're OP.
You win before that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
we still haven't tried that much in team games.
I don't think we've seen them enough to have a clear mind yet.
So, Mr. Yo, you guys just recently won yet another Nations Cup. I think this was now the third Nations Cup for Team China when you were playing for the Team China as well. And I think for me personally, this was a very special Nations Cup because it was fully funded by the community. And, the other ones we had were funded by the SY Chinese sponsor. So did you enjoy the tournament? Did you guys practice a lot?
Yeah, we practice a lot, and Nation Cup is always special for us. We didn't think we could win in early stage because we lost to Vietnam once, and but when we lost them, then we practiced more, and we found out our teamwork is much better. Then we have the ambitions to win the whole thing,
Okay.
And I'm quite happy that we eventually did.
Something else, Mr. Yo, as we just said, the 3 last Nations Cup before this one were all sponsored by a Chinese sponsor. And so I assume, and this is the feeling that I had, that a lot of the Chinese community was really involved in watching the tournament and were hyped about the tournaments. Was this any different this time because it was an outside sponsor? It was the community who actually funded it? Or do you feel like the whole Chinese community was also just as interested as it was before?
Well, the pressure was different. Like when the Nation Cup was sponsored by SY, and everyone expect us to win. Right? So we as player we feel that pressure as well. But this time it's a crowd fundraiser, so we feel less pressure, and even our viewers didn't think we could have won. They thought like Finland was the best, and we are aiming to top 2 or like top 4.
Like, because normally, I mean, we've heard plenty of stories where, like, while you're streaming in China, like we've had situations with Vivi, we had Lix, where the pressure from the community and the viewers is just so much that they actually were pushed. Like, I think Vivi went to AoE4 for a while, like permanently, and Lix stopped streaming completely because he was basically harassed by the viewers for a while. No, he didn't stop streaming.
No.
He stopped competing.
Right. That's what he said, but he came back after.
Yeah, I always figured he'd come back. But the fact that we have these situations where the Chinese community are actually making the players feel like that, was it like this for the Nations Cup as well? Were you fearful that if you lost, that you would get a lot of harassment? Is this something that you as well experience, or are you like not getting that because you are the best Chinese player?
I get that a lot, but I guess I just don't care about it that much because like, why should I?
Yeah,
so
good point.
When I lose a tournament, some people will send some gifts to me, like gifts as money, and so if I lose, they curse my family. I think it's fair.
Fair enough. Yeah, the balance,
Mr. Yo, yeah, we used to have some Chinese sponsors in the past. So we had the SY sponsor, we had the Pins Tech, I believe was his name, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. So, but that was a couple of years ago. Do you see any Chinese sponsors maybe in the near future becoming active again in the community?
Actually, we have one tournament that is still planning, but I don't see any major sponsor like SY or WWP sponsor in the coming days.
Coming so the next week, but after the next week.
But do you want to talk about the tournament that might be coming? Can you give us a few?
No.
Okay,
No,
all right. Fair
enough. Try to get an exclusive.
Fair enough. Do you have an idea why that's the case? That when the game was much smaller, we had sponsors from the Chinese community, but now that the game is actually increasing, there's more viewership.
But I think a follow up on that as well is like, has the viewership increased in China or has it gone down? Like, how is the viewership like compared to 3, 4, or 5 years ago? Is it better? Is it worse?
I think it's
the same, maybe.
It should be better, but
okay.
I don't think the sponsor has anything to do with the viewership. Like, all you need is a guy that is willing to donate a lot to AoE and have the passion.
Right.
It's nothing about the viewership. You just need the guy to stand up. For now, we don't have anyone new.
That's interesting.
But like over here, we have, for example, Game Legion. We are a professional team, obviously, backed by a professional organization. Is White Wolf Palace just one guy, or is that also like more professional?
No, it's not a professional team. Actually, it's like half dismissed right now.
Oh, okay.
We just carry the tab because we don't have something new.
Okay, fair enough. But do you have any financial backing from the guy who created White Wolf Palace, or are you again just keeping the clan tag?
No. We just got a lot of show matches, and maybe the sponsor just give us some gifts.
Okay.
Gifts in W.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that in DE, and when DE was released here, the viewership on Twitch went up massively. So a lot of people actually started playing DE. And so in our community, we did see a huge increase in viewership and a huge increase in the people playing the game. And you were just a couple of minutes ago, you said you were not entirely sure if the viewership is actually increased. So is it fair to say that DE did not bring that many people that are new to the game, the Chinese community?
Oh, wait a minute. When did DE come out?
2019.
2019, yeah, 2019.
4 years ago.
November 2019.
So it's 4 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
The viewership increased a lot.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right.
I remember the dates wrong.
All good.
No, that makes sense.
That's good to see that they follow the same pattern here as here. Then I want to go because I mean, in China, usually you guys are you're kind of cornered over there when it comes you don't access YouTube, you don't access Twitch, etc. How much do the Chinese community get to watch? Let's say, do they watch my stream? Do they watch Hera's stream? Do they watch Mem when he's casting a tournament? Or do they mostly only watch on Douyu TV, watch you, Lux, Vivi, etc.?
I think most viewers only watch us, but
okay.
There are still a small percent of viewers will watch you. And I mean, there are a lot of Chinese, so I can imagine it should be a decent number.
Yeah. Sometimes Yo shows up in my stream or I show up in his stream and we talk to each other through our streams.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I always watch your stream when I eat something and I was trying to get some content.
I heard that, and then someone in my chat is, "Hi, Yo is watching you," and then I start, "Ni hao."
Also, you're streaming in your stream, Viper stream, so a bit of inception.
A watch along, essentially.
That's what we call it these days, a watch along. Interesting. Mr. Yo, are there any tournaments in the recent past that you really liked that you would like to see more of?
Nation Cup.
Okay.
More Nations Cup. Okay. So is it fair to say that a team game tournament is the type of tournament you like the most?
For now, yes. Because I'm getting older and I'm tired of playing 1v1.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, but you want to talk about the... I was trying to give you the opportunity to talk about the games yesterday with the.
Oh yeah. We have a team game tournament going on right now, which just entered the top 4. White Wolf Pals was playing that tournament. They played yesterday against what's the name? Barbagettes.
Barbagettes.
Yep.
Do you have anything to say about that before we? I mean, we can say the result. It was 3-1 for Barbagettes. Do you have anything to say to defend yourself?
It was sad.
Do you feel like you guys underperformed, didn't prepare enough, or what happened?
I mean, we have practiced like for 3 times against different teams. I think we prepared enough. We just didn't perform really well, and they are playing amazingly.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's a bit of an interesting tournament. There's a lot of weird maps and special maps. How do you feel about the maps that are featured in the tournament?
I like them very much, and it's kind of like in old team game tournament. It's always the same thing, like migration, Arabia, same map going on. Even if you are creating some new maps, there's something like it, like nothing different. But this time is really different, and the strategy matters a lot. And the civilization picks, of course. And
I agree.
We can always see some big surprise, like us get eliminated.
Right.
And
we saw a lot of surprising results in the tournament.
And to be fair, it's a very experienced team. Dogao and Miguel and Cito, kind of a newer player.
So you see it as a surprise as well. Thank you.
There we go. Right, Yo. I mean, you and I both stream for a living. Streaming is something that is very new, kind of. Like 10, 15 years ago, people were not streaming full time. It was not something they viewed as a career. Is that in China? Is that viewed as a real career, a real job? Or is that something that is not like seen as like when you go out, do you say, "Hey, yeah, I'm a streamer," and people go like, "What?
No. When I go home in during New Year's and I see my related, I always tell them I'm the IT guy. Working for Microsoft. That have to look bigger.
But is it because people don't know what streaming is, or is it because it's not respected as a job?
They don't respect it.
Okay.
You are streaming and you play games?
Okay.
A kid or something.
All right. So it's not related to streaming per se. It's just that, you're just playing games.
Yeah.
Okay. And they don't even respect the competitive aspect of it, that you're competing in tournaments, you're training a lot.
Well, some of them will, but most of them don't understand it.
Okay. So, do you think that is? Yeah. Do you think that's a general view as a whole in China, or is it like more?
It's a general situation for older people.
Okay. In China, there's a lot of old people.
Esport thing.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, I think we're about to let you go, but I'd like to know, are there any older players, I mean, from the past, people you've played with in the past, that you really miss and you would like to see come back?
I would like to see James be back.
Oh, yeah, James.
I remember SY Nations Cup 1.
He was a really good pocket.
James playing against Brazil, such an amazing player.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while, and I miss his gameplay. I want to be carried by him. It's such a good time.
On that, just how do you view your own level right now? Do you think you're performing as good as you can? Do you think you have potential to improve? Do you think you have peaked? Are you getting old like me and are washed? Or do you still have chances to continue and potentially win tournaments going forward?
I think I'm getting old like you. Like, how do you feel? Like you can play really good in a 1v1 tournament, and the other day you can play like really bad.
Well, you know all about that now, right?
Yeah.
No, I know. Just inconsistency, right? It's not as consistent as before. Before it was just like at the lowest level before was like 90%. Now the lowest level is like 50%.
Yeah.
It's weird. We're getting old, man.
You just can't get focused enough, right?
Yeah, but you're 1 year younger than me, so I mean, you have still a year to go before you're...
1 year?
Wait, weren't you born in 92?
Yeah, 92.
Yeah, 1 year.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
There we go. So you spoke about your 1v1 level. Do you think your team game level is still top notch? Do you think you can continue being one of the best teams there with your White Wolf Palace teammates?
Yeah, I mean, we lost the last one, but still we have the confidence to win the next big tournament, team game tournament. Yeah. We still have that confidence.
Yeah. I want to backtrack quickly again to the Nations Cup, because I mean, you guys lost against Canada first, and you went down to the losers bracket. You made it back to the final, but before the final, there suddenly appeared this 4 round robin team show match thing.
Okay.
Was that hosted just so you guys got to train for the final?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Because though you just wanted to host a small tournament, and I'm responsible for making the game settings.
Right. Oh, so you just put the Nation Cup, so you
I
got
was
to train.
too lazy to make something new.
Okay.
So I just borrow the Nation Cup settings.
I feel like you're always repeating laziness a lot here.
Yes, I'm a lazy player.
I remember in the last episode of this podcast, we had Hera here, and he said that was one of the big reasons why you were able to actually beat Canada. Yeah. Because you had this tournament before, and you were able to study all the strategies that all the other teams were employing. Do you agree with that, actually?
But it's the same. It's the same as everyone, no?
No, because now you suddenly had Gamer Legion with their strategies, Suomi with theirs. I mean, Suomi was the same, Wolfpass was the same, but AM and Gamer Legion...
They can watch, no?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you could see how we played, and did we actually influence your decision-making in Civs in any way during that show match?
Yeah, I think we used AM strategy once. Okay. The one in Chaos Pit. Oh,
right.
Which Hera was in the game, so
yeah, true. Makes sense.
He can't complain.
Yeah, makes sense. So I want to say then that I think we should take credit for their win as well with that round robin show match.
Need to share the prize pool. All right, Mr. Yo, it was awesome to have you here, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, and good luck to you, man.
Thank you, Yo. I'll see you in the
future. Having me.
I'll see you in the next tournament very soon.
Okay, hope you will be 50%.
Same to you. If we both are 50%, it should be fun games.
Yeah. Could be.
Good. Take care.
All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, leave us a comment. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, don't forget to give us a 5-star ranking. We apologize for the camera problems, but we do hope you still enjoyed this episode. Thank you, and see you next time.